And we
Did
live.
you ever see with him? He's all fucked up.
It's crazy. He still gets done when he gets done, though. You know, who's pulling off crazy shit?
His dad's a badass too, bro. I didn't know that.
Oh yeah,
yeah, dude.
Runs in the family, I guess, huh?
Super badass, bro. Like this, Travis Pastran was telling a story one time about how he jumped out of their speedboat going 70 miles an hour, broke his pelvis.
Yeah, like
he said, like he was telling Travis, like, oh, I'm jumping out. You can't do this. You
that
can't
water
do that.
turns to concrete,
He's like,
bro.
I ain't doing that. And his dad just jumped.
I'm sure it ripped his skin off too. Like that's some sick ass shit, bro. Like I said, like when you're at that speed, that water becomes like concrete.
Oh, yeah,
like,
that was tough, bro.
I remember I went down a rabbit hole of skiers who were degloved.
Oh,
well, like man, like their fucking skin was just like ripped off their foot, like down to their toes and shit. It was just all skin.
You ever see that one of the guy who's got that fire injury? Man, it's like a newer video. I'm gonna have to find it, man. So sick. It's like a hand.
Was his hand like was it burnt to shit or is it just like
it's the worst thing I ever seen, dude?
Blisters, man. Ugh.
There's one that's like
I remember I had a fat ass blister on my hand right here from when I was working at a restaurant. I got this boiling ass water poured on my hand, and the blister covered up like my whole half of my hand, like right here.
Oh,
and it was just like it was just a bag just jiggling. And I remember when I went to the clinic and they pulled that back and all that fluid came out, man. It was so sick.
That's sick. Dude.
Yeah, that hurt like a bitch.
I feel like they're not showing. Like I feel like they're showing to me like kid shit.
They've gotten rid of a lot of stuff like that. Like I remember.
I feel like they're showing me kid shit, bro.
I remember on Reddit, they used to have a subreddit called "Watch People Die," and it was literally just like fatal accidents or like fatal workplace catastrophic failure type of shit that kills people and like random acts of God type of style. Like, and I mean they shut that one down because of that.
Yeah, like how far do you go with police in that? Should you let people see that?
The one thing they were saying, I remember like everyone was coming back on there. It was like, yeah, if anything, this stuff has helped me because I'm a lot safer now. I look out for shit like that,
that's what I was thinking.
It reminds you about like shit that can go wrong. It makes you think twice about walking under some scaffolding. You don't cut that truck off anymore.
All them little things, man, makes you think about how like there was a thing this guy was talking about on like this new show. It's a show called The Sinner on Netflix. And it's like that's what it was based on, about how like people don't accept how fragile life really is.
Mm-hmm.
And like kind of was like this culty like Satanism type of thing, but not Satanism, where like they would like do things. Basically, when you're like driving and you're like, oh, I could just go on the other lane right now and hit that car. They would like act on those things they felt.
Yeah.
And like that was his whole thing, as he was like he'd jump off like a 2-story building, like stick a knife through his hand, shit like that.
His
like
brain didn't have
like
that
shit
off.
that you like couldn't even process, but you think about doing, And he's like, that's why I'm crazy, because like nobody wants to accept just how fragile it is all the time. He's got this baby, like he had a baby, and he's just like, I could so easily, just crush this baby, and it's like that you're just accepting that I'm gonna hold this baby, but like, what's making you hold that baby?
Mm-hmm.
You could say it's your child. Okay, what if it's not your child? What if it's somebody else's child? It's like the action of death is just as easy as the action of life. I guess that's the point they're trying to make. Like, at any point you can choose to die, you can choose to live.
Not only that, but like I think about like at times where like you do something silly, like let's say like you run full force into like the edge of the table and you fuck your leg up. I'm just like, but if I was sitting here, it's like I could never willingly kick the shit out of this fucking table leg and hurt my pinky toe and stub my toe willingly. Or like when like you cut yourself, like you're walking by, let's say you're working near some air ducts, you walk by the screw catches you. It's like, well, I would never move my shoulder fast enough and to cut myself, incidentally right there. It's like, but like just something like that. Especially back in the day when they didn't have antibiotics, bro. Like a regular cut could just get infected and take your life, bro. You were out working on your house, building a house for yourself in the middle of the woods. You fucking cut your thumb off, might get infected. You might die from that. You died at 28 from a thumb infection from cutting it, doing an everyday thing. But modern medicine does an awful lot to help, people feel a little more invulnerable. Where it's like, man, I can't believe you survived that. Wow. the body's so crazy, which the body is really insane and can be really durable. But it's just flesh at the end of the day, bro. You
Yep.
can gouge yourself with anything. You can crush your hand or your bones in anything. Like, it takes nothing. I remember, like, I look at the way people bounce off cars sometimes when they get hit. And you're like, I mean, you would think, I'm like, wow, like, you just never realize a car is that heavy. But with just even 25 miles per hour, you get launched into the air.
But like I was saying the other day, like I was trying to explain to Brian about, how like as a person that's been through, traumatic injuries, bro, like you're just amazed, dude. Like even with this, like it honestly never hurt, bro, except like obviously when it's tender that next day and you hit it on something, But like as far as when it happened, like picture you having a fresh razor blade, standing up and then you going like this on it, bro. It's unimaginable. You're just like, oh my God, bro, I did that.
Yeah.
I did that. And then when it happens, you're like, you really don't feel anything. You're just like, oh, fuck, like I'm dealing with it. Your body kind of just deals with it, dude.
Yeah.
And, I told you about a crash. See, this is like where I would like to have like that video where like we're describing my crash and I'm able to put like, pictures in the back to show what I mean.
Yeah.
But like if anybody's seen my back, dude, I had no skin left on my back. And you accumulate that with facial injuries, knee injuries, foot injury, broken elbow, everything that you include. I got up right after I crashed, bro, and started walking. I made it to the hospital. Like, I think a lot of people would have got an ambulance there. I was like, I remember I was bleeding so bad, bro, and Bill had like this rented Escalade, dude. So it's like all white, and I'm like trying not to drop any blood, bro. I'm just bleeding from everywhere, man. But you're just dealing with it, your body just deals with it. You really don't feel the pain until afterwards.
Yep, exactly. I remember the other day, it's funny you mentioned that because the other day I was messing my elbow and I was leaning on it and I felt something weird. So I went and I looked and I had like this little, like a boil or a pimple. But I popped it. So I still had gravel on my arm from the last time I felt my bite.
You didn't get it all out.
No, exactly. And my body would just over time just pushed it out. Once it got to the surface a little bit, it got like that boiledness.
That's crazy.
I popped it. I was just like, what, is there a rock in my fucking
crazy.
A little ass pebble? I'm just like, what the fuck, man?
That's
like,
so cool.
Yeah, I'm just like the body does weird shit, People live with like bullets inside them, shrapnel, and just like they'll just walk every day with a foreign object inside their body, and then the body's just chilling. I saw a video the other day of a white blood cell that was on a microscope chasing like a germ cell or something, bro.
Yeah, I've seen something like that.
Yeah, it was just so
wild.
Bro,
that Dominic Cruz, the UFC fighter.
Yeah.
Bro, he had ACL injuries. His first one, he got a cadaver. It's a special kind of cadaver from a dead body, dude. They gave him a dead body ligament, bro, and his body rejected it.
God damn.
And he had to it got all infected, had to get a whole nother surgery to remove it, then a whole nother one to put another one in there, bro. It's like, yeah, your body rejected it? Really?
Mm-hmm.
Your body rejected a foreign dead body from another person?
Yeah.
It's like when people get them heart transplants, you got to take that heart medicine for the rest of your life, man, just to make sure that thing doesn't reject.
To suppress your immune system.
It's crazy.
You suppress your immune system so your immune system doesn't attack a foreign object in the body.
We're so afraid of death, brother.
It's a foreign object.
We're so afraid of death,
and that's what makes us feel a little more invincible is that medicine,
and
bro.
there comes this point where like you need to embrace that. Like people say I sound crazy, but like I think that's the fun part of life. Like I think to me that's what makes life so fun. When they say like, oh, you're adrenaline junkie, like that's what it is. It's not about like what even you're doing. It's the fact of like, yeah, something could happen, and I'm still doing it. People say, oh, you're crazy. Just like people say, oh, you'll never jump out of a plane. I'll never jump out of a plane. Why would I do that? It's like, it has nothing to do with the plane to me. It's the fact of like, I could die. And every day I feel so safe and just go through the life and you do these things where it's like, you're kind of have a near death experience without actually dying. You're like at this point, and you make this choice. And
you push your body to that limit.
It is relieving, bro. It's relieving to like overcome this type of fear.
Yeah.
Like, like you're so terrified, bro. Isn't it funny how a grown man just fear, bro? These emotions, like emotions truly are superpowers, bro. And there's ones, that can make you have different types of powers and fear, you could take that one of two ways. You use that, GSP style where you become the best ever, and Upham style where you can't go up the steps to save someone's life, like just frozen, man. It's so weird, right? Because you hear these people, you talk to these men, and they talk to you just like normal people, bro. And you never know. You might never know your whole life because we're in such a world now, right? What would happen if, ballistics blew up next to them, if the bullets were coming over their head? Like, there's certain men that would freeze up, and it might be me, might be you don't know, that would freeze up so much, bro, where you would literally ball up, bro, ball up and start crying and asking for your mom and shit, bro. Shit that like you see on the movie. That's real shit,
exactly,
bro.
man. Yeah.
That happens, bro.
Yeah.
Like when you're at that episode of like true fucking fear, bro. Most of us never knew what it was like to be seconds away from death. Like, you don't know what that was like, and some people have near-death experiences. Some people don't. You might go your whole life never knowing that, bro. It's a different type of thing. And to be honest with you, I like it. Like, I like that, like, I can die. It sounds weird, bro. But, like, how fun would life be if you were immortal? Like, you would just do the dumbest shit. Like, nothing would matter. I like the fact
if you
were
immortal, a lot of the things that you'd be fearful of, like heights or whatever the case, they'd be driving or something, driving on the highway, no one would give a shit about anything because it'd be like, well, there's no consequence to it. The only reason people are scared of that stuff is because the consequence is dying or getting injured or some shit like that.
Well, let's say you're immortal, but you could still break something, right? So you could still receive the injuries, but you don't die from them necessarily, I would guess, right? So it's like maybe that would be the aspect, but then you're like at this pain threshold of like, man, there's these certain things that like kind of thrill life, man. It sounds weird, but like it's these certain things that kind of, like when something like good pain. You've had like good pain before, where like something's sore, but like you like touching it, bro.
Yeah,
like that little bit of pain is kind of intoxicating.
That's why humans have always pushed it, bro. That's why mountain climbing is a thing nowadays. It's not because like we got the technology and people were like, okay, well now we can scale mountains. We always scaled mountains. People were just like, well, I'm gonna go climb that. And then back then they didn't have the equipment like we do nowadays. You know what I'm saying? They're just climbing this bitch. And I mean, like the human curiosity, the mind, like it just wants to explore that type of thing, and it will. There'll be certain types of humans that do. That's why you have people who are like, okay, well now that we climb mountains, okay, people skydive. Well, I can base jump off a fucking mountain.
I like the idea of not living with this. Not living. Yes, you can die doing any of these things. You can die at any moment, anywhere. I like the idea of like living on this edge.
That's good death value, though.
Yeah. What sucks is when you start having children and shit, and you got like something to live for, but like there's this part of life where it's like, oh man, I think we should embrace the fact that we can die, like that's there's a different type of freedom when you embrace that and you're just like, I could die doing that. And I still want to do it, like people, the wingsuits and shit, like that's insane shit, bro.
It looks
feet, from the fucking mountains, bro.
Like, I think about like that's why like I want to go skydiving because I want to get that out of the way. And then I also and that's because I also talk a lot about how I want to do the wingsuit base jumping and shit. Because I'm like, that's the closest thing to human flight.
Yeah.
And unless you get one of those like jetpacks that they fly in Dubai. But I mean, like this is like the closest to like free human flight when you're in a wingsuit and you're just soaring down this mountain. It'd be so insane to see, bro. I want to experience that. I don't want fear to deny me that experience.
Yeah,
definitely. Even though it's one of the deadliest things you can do.
At least once.
But come on, like, come on, dude. Man. Like,
why do those people keep doing it though, bro?
Exactly.
Because you can't just do it once, right? You do it once, right? And you're like, wow, like I know how I get like sky jumping and shit like that might be fun for some people. That shit wasn't fun for me, to be honest with you. Like, like I was attached to somebody, bro, who had done it a million times, and like I knew at the end of the day, even if I died, I didn't cause it. It was on this guy, so it just wasn't fun to me. I felt like, oh man, if I die, I got murdered. That's what I felt like. You know what I mean? Where like if it was me doing it and I died, it would be whatever. I'd have fun till I hit the ground, bro. I swear. Like, I like to think that I would like accept the consequences, black box style.
So you're
just like,
and you're just like backflip.
It's what it is at that point.
Backflip 360. It's like.
But really, you're probably thinking about your loved ones, and you're going to those deep parts,
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, no one wants to die, and that's another part of being a human is that like. You naturally don't want to die. You want to survive, So you also now have to fight the fear. You know, not only has to fight the fear, but you also got to go against your natural instinct to want to live.
22 people died in the when they first tried to go to the deepest parts that submarines have ever went.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, man. When they hit like I think it's like 250 meters is where it was like standard at, and they were testing this ship to go 350, bro. They got down to 350, dude, and they were like, "We're good, and they're like, "We'll see at what point aren't you good?" Basically, so they're like, "Okay, we're dropping," and like they would go drop 30 feet. They wait a second, see sounds and test everything.
Mm-hmm.
They keep going, bro. They get to the point where like they're like we're starting to hear things, like shit's starting to creak and shit. And yeah, but it's black box style, bro, because they're recording up to that,
Yeah.
And next thing you know, they're like, we're coming back up, and their fucking submarine would not go back up, bro. So they're hitting up and it starts going down. At that point, they had too much pressure. Like they had went too deep for what that thing was able to go up.
Yep.
And what sucks is so like basically like I've learned so much dumb shit that like that's not dumb, you know what I mean? But like it's crazy. So like they basically have like a submarine at just like a fighter pilot has an ejector seat.
Yeah.
The ejector for a submarine is it has water to deal with its balances and these gallons that are underneath of it. You can just push those all the way out basically, and that'll shoot you up the air. But that's ejected like how a fighter pilot does.
Exactly.
And you're not supposed to do it, especially down that deep. They did that, bro, and they had won so far. It still didn't get them to go back up, dude. They went all the way down. 20 people died, bro, and they don't go that deep.
So I remember at one point, like what they were saying in the video I was watching when they were diving that deep. They were saying they're like, okay, they got to a certain depth, and then it was like it's like as if a whale was standing on a penny.
Yeah,
exerted all over every square foot of that damn ship on the exterior of that ship.
But they did say like it would crush so quick, basically, that you would die in an instant.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think once the seal was broken, the immediate pressure difference would probably just fucking kill you, as all the oxygen just immediately sucked out, and it probably would just be pulled out of your lungs. You know what I'm saying? Like the pressure difference, it would create a vacuum immediately, and you would immediately be sucked. All air would just be sucked out of your body.
That's
what
I always talk about doing, like the mass thing. That's what scares me right there. It's mass. It's the simple mass of that water on your little tiny bitch human body, bro, and it just fucking caves your fucking skull and your fucking rib cage in. What if you didn't die, bro? Like, what if you just happen to be that one person, right? Where like there's 22 of you down there, and you see everyone's fucking skulls crushing, their rib cages giving, their kneecaps collapsing, and like for some reason yours doesn't, but you're still drowning, But like you gotta watch these people just underwater, just
kneecaps exploding.
The fucking shit. Oh man, it's the worst ever, dude. It's the worst ever.
If you ever get a chance, or if you want, you can pull it up. You could do the creating a vacuum in a barrel, and they use fire. Yeah, and use like fire or some shit. What the hell? Reverse DIY drums.
That's what I was saying. It seemed like
there you go. Crush a steel drum with air pressure. Wow. Yeah, you can do that real quick.
Check that bad boy out.
Yeah. So pretty much once the vacuum happens, bro, it immediately just like and just like collapses, bro.
Wow.
Because of the pressure difference going on.
Just insane.
And I remember I remember when I watched that documentary where they dove to Marianas Trench to the bottom, the sea floor in there, they had the recordings of the people when they're talking back. There's like, the first layer of that glass for like the pressure indicator was cracking. And I was like, we're holding it out, and it was like, because everything else was good. Everything's creaking and shit. Just like, what the fuck?
I'm going up.
The fuck?
No, I'm going up, bro. It's just crazy, though, because being a glass man, like I'm telling you, there comes a point where like pressure is definitely going to cave glass. Like that's definitely your glass is going to give out before your steel does.
Yeah. But I mean, now they do routine trips down to the Marianas Trench.
Did you know that news? I don't think it's routine, but yeah, they create devices to go down there, right? I don't think it's a routine thing.
They do regular trips down there. It's like that's where they study
every couple of years.
Well, I think they have like year-long trips. I think they go down there all the time, bro.
I don't think so, bro.
Multiple times
I think that's like a super approved thing. That's a huge thing that they're doing, like Discovery and shit. Maybe they got farther. I never knew that. Any news is just public info. You can always reshare that with no copyright.
Yeah. It's funny you bring that up. It made me think of something I was watching earlier. Did you know every president gets its own library?
What do you mean?
They make a presidential library for every president.
Like that he wants of books he wants to
And
read, or about him?
they make that library. It's a public place, and they go there, and it has pretty much they try to make every document available under that president's term. They available there, and it's the presidential library.
Huh?
Like George W. Bush has a presidential library in Dallas, Texas, and it pretty much has a bunch of documents. And like it almost sounds a little culty, but like he has a lot of documents on the invasion of Iraq, and a lot of things on like trying to support why he did it.
That's crazy.
You know?
Huh.
Yeah. I thought it was just super odd, but it's like a public thing that's been happening since like 1955. And and they don't get to drive for the rest of their life. I didn't realize that either.
Really?
You can only drive on your private roads. On private roads around your house.
Weird.
You can't drive anywhere else, bro.
Somebody has to drive them.
Someone
They
has
got
to
a
drive
driver?
them. Yeah, they get a CIA trained driver.
I don't understand that. What did not?
Yeah.
So they can't get a DUI.
He's just drunk as shit all the time.
Be the worst PR ever.
But yeah, I mean, I thought that was actually pretty insane. And they still get briefed. They get briefed for the rest of the time. Security briefings, national security briefings.
Yeah, that's why they wanted to impeach Trump,
Yeah,
right? Because they didn't want him getting those.
yeah. But he's gonna have his own presidential library, bro. He's gonna get his own library somewhere. I wonder if he's gonna be full of stuff for like Stop the Steal.
I just sick to even hear. This is insane.
Yeah, this thing's just gonna crush, and it's almost like instantly. I wonder why they're doing this on like a public news thing.
Science. Wow.
And that's what would happen to that damn ship if it was breached down there, bro. But quicker than that, and probably like
Look at the end, bro. I mean,
Uh-huh.
it's literally flat.
yeah,
That's crazy.
yep. So I mean, like those fucking
And
submarines
how
down
much
there.
strength
Would just
that would
fucking-
take, bro.
And you see how fast that one went.
That was so crazy. Yeah, that was instantly.
Uh,
That was instantly for sure.
It'd probably be like 30 times sent into the Marriott Trench, and it's crushed, and you're probably instantly dead. Dude, just crushed at that point. You know, I mean, I don't know what happens, but
Yeah,
you just
but reading
dead.
just thinking about with the pain thing and antibiotic thing, with that Indian book, man, I've been getting back in there, putting some chapters in there. Dude, them Mandans, bro, wild men, bro. So once they had reached the age of maturity, they're 17 years old, 16 years old. They would go into this medicine lodge, this Okipa or whatever, however you pronounce it. And dude, like, man, you're gonna have to read this book when I'm done with it, bro, because this is like one of the craziest things I've literally ever read in my life. I can't even the guy had a hard time explaining what happens, but it's hard for me to even explain it through that. Two men who had already been through the shit, they would come in and masked up so no one knew who did it. No, basically executioner style, There'd be 50 of these men who were maturing. They come around with a blade, bro, and they will put wounds right here. Take a piece of skin right here, piece of skin right here, piece of skin, piece of skin, piece of skin on behind their knees. Take all the skin right there, bro, and then shove straw in there, bro. Some like type of straw, and like basically close up the wound like real quick right away. After that, these things would come from the top of the teepee. Two people would be up there with these strings, like puppet master style. They would attach this guy to this, bro, right? And pull him up. This 16-year-old, right? This is for hosts. I'm not doing them any justice, bro. Before that, they have to go 4 days, no food. They allowed water, no food, and no sleep. 4 days straight. Then they take this piece from them and they hang them up by all 6 of these things, so that they don't move more, because it'll ruin them. They hang more weight from below them, like medicine bags, bells, and things that weigh 5-10 pounds. So at this point, they're held right there. This is when you're really judged. It's how long you can go until you pass out, bro. It's insane, dude. How long you can go? I'm not even done, bro. How long you can go till you pass out, and the longer you go is like the more respected you are after this spiritual thing, whatever you want to call it, right? So then once they're held up from there, they're dropped on the ground. They have to get back up, bro, and walk outside to around this fire. When they get out there, they lay on the ground and they come tie people riding horses, tie ropes to them and drag them around in a circle until all those bells and medicine bags fall off of them, bro. So they have to go and go and go till it falls off and they're given to the prairie, as it said, sacrifice to the prairie. Nobody can take them off. If they hang for a long time, people will stomp on them, right? But sometimes people stomp on them and it still doesn't rip off, bro. It rips out of their skin. These things are put in with hooks. Rips out of their skin. So once they all that finally comes off, they have to get up and walk to the doctors, basically. And that's where they can finally be healed, bro. And like, this is like, it's basically to put you to the point of death. And then they let their God, as they say, the spirit master, decide if he should bring you back. Wild, bro. And like I said, I'm not doing it no justice, bro. Like if you read this chapter, dude, like it almost brought tears to me, bro. Reading, I'm like, what?
You get that kind of the idea of like, either you lived or you died.
I was thinking about what you earlier when you said antibiotics. That's what I'm thinking about. Like, oh my God, the wounds, bro. There's so many wounds on this dude.
Mm-hmm. Plus, you're drugged by the horse.
Apparently, only like one person had ever died though, and that's because one thing just wouldn't come off. So he literally had to go in circles for eternity, basically, till it ripped off, and it was just too bad the way it ripped off.
It just died.
Yep.
I mean, it's just so about like
nobody's allowed to help them.
Thinking about like the mind, and it's just like when humans are just creating this type of like culture and tradition, where it's just like, look, it's like we're not deciding anything here. You either live or you die. It's like
dude, this all that all came from this man who had came from the mountains one day, bro. A random man, not even part of their tribe, had came down from the mountains, a medicine man that belonged to no tribe, as the story goes, belonged to no tribe. Had went around and collected all of these things that he attached to those people from these people, brought them all in there and established this, and then left and told them if they didn't do that they would receive hurricanes and floods as other lands had.
What the fuck?
And basically that was his job, was to go tell these people to do it before the floods came. Ever since then, dude.
That's why I try to think about like, human history.
How
and
easy it is to lie, Steve.
Well, not only that, but like trying to think of the origin of like this tale.
And they believe him.
This tale,
they believe him.
And what was this guy doing walking around saying that shit? You know what I'm saying? Like, did he have some like divine belief that that's what it was? Or was it something an alien, bro? He just come down and just like, look.
Or something like egotistical, bro. Where like he's the first person to realize they believe this shit. Wow, wow, I can say whatever and they believe it.
They a medicine man.
They can't prove it.
I'm coming
over them mountains, you know what I mean? And these guys, man, like that man in tribe, they weren't allowed to chase the buffalo because they weren't a strong enough tribe as far as their militia. So they only went within 2-3 miles of the of their home to get these buffaloes. And when they did, they would eat as much as they could and preserve as much as they could, but it'd be 3 months out of the year where the buffaloes were gone and they had to wait till they came back. So other tribes would set them up, dog, and bring buffaloes. I can tell you so much, bro. I'm learning so much, but they would do a buffalo dance, bro, where like literally 13 people at a time had to dance and shout these languages that they didn't even know. They weren't even allowed to know what the words meant. That's how crazy it is. Like the chiefs didn't even know what the words meant. It had been passed down and you weren't supposed to know. It was like mystical knowledge. They would do these buffalo dances and they had to go every minute of every day, taking turns, 13 people at a time, I believe it was, doing these stops in this circle, aggressive, keeping it up while people were just waiting until buffalo came. So other tribes eventually started learning people's buffalo dances, bro. And like they knew the Mandans buffalo dance. So when they spotted that, they would bring buffalo over their prairies and show them within view. The Mandans would go crazy. The gods brought us buffalo. They'd go over that prairie and there'd be, 3,000 troops waiting for them, bro. And they wouldn't go attack them all the way to the village, but they would kill whoever came out there, and set them up with these baits because their militia wasn't good enough.
That's
but
so
they
crazy,
held their
man.
own well. You
That's
know,
so
people
crazy.
didn't want to attack their home.
After reading what you've read so far, do you think there's a chance or possibility, like, if they were left alone, like, like maybe like they could create like complex societies, or like, do you think, they'd be kind of like forever, kind of like trapped chasing kind of like this tribe versus tribe, war?
I definitely say I don't know enough yet,
Don't know
to
enough yet.
say something like that. But from what I see, bro, they all had so many different thoughts, dude. I mean, they weren't really on the same page at all. None
No,
of them.
yeah.
They all were kind of doing different. They were doing similar things, but different styles of it. And with so many of them being so much stronger than the other ones, a lot of them having access. Like those horses the Mandans had, bro, those were like old Aztec horses that were like pony style. Like Comanches, they had full grown,
Arabians and
Mustangs and
shit.
shit. Yeah.
Yeah.
So resources matter, right?
You need horses.
I think that the bigger question there would just be, can any man get along, Can any man live amongst like that? Because look
Yeah,
at us, bro. Like,
unless through
look at right now.
unless through conquest, bro.
But look at right now, dude. Look, it's conquest. All this is conquest. All this established, dude. We still can't live amongst ourselves.
Yeah,
We still got 400 murders a year.
I don't think there's any nation that's become a nation without conquest, without some type of military backing. That's just, history. The only reason you're able to stay around as a country if you're able to defend your country.
It just sucks that you want to get past that point, You want to just get past it. It's like, okay, we've done it. At this point, like, okay, I had a nuke and I was egotistical and I did use my nuke for evil. But now we all got nukes. And I think we should just call it even.
It's just weird when you think like, it's like, especially if you think about Indians, like where like, one, they were like, it's the tribe, that's the prairie god. And then you go to another tribe, it's like, oh, there's no prairie god. There's this guy. They kind of control that too. It's just like,
well, they believed in everything. They would
heretic.
They would give their best arts to a medicine man. He'd go dump them in the river, water god style. It just goes on and on.
But I mean, like, the one thing I've always thought about, I thought about early religion, like a lot, like in some aspects, like, or like, certain beliefs like that. And when you talk about gods, I mean, like, I don't, I use this very loosely, but it's almost like kind of like almost early scientific thought in a way where like, you're thinking, you're just like, well, what's behind these forces? What's moving
like
the river? What's flooding the plains?
Right, exactly, because you don't know. You don't got the info,
exactly.
Right? But like with those, like, okay, so I guess now I'm thinking deeper on what your question was. It's like, could they all have lived amongst? No. Like I'm saying, maybe 300 million of us could never live amongst. But they were living fine in their tribes together. People were happy in their tribes. Dude, and they did have some laws that were like, super humanitarian, like one being like any man could eat from your stove, basically, like was allowed to come into your kitchen and eat from your pot, no matter if it was enemy or whatever. And a lot of people got killed by allowing an enemy to come that close, but it was just Native American, every tribe did that. You were allowed to come eat. If a man was hungry and there was food, he was allowed to eat. They were allowed to have multiple wives. In the Mandan tribe, they were allowed to have multiple wives, but it was forbidden to hit a woman, like forbidden. Nobody beat their women. There's a lot of people that can't say that. You think Rome wasn't beating women, Vikings beating women, Greeks are beating women. There's something to that, right? Where like they had these things, even in that spot of like that crazy story I just told you, like all of them men, they smiled while that process was going on. To them, that was their initiation, to manhood. They loved that part of it. The tribe had always done that. They lived well amongst themselves, even though that was barbaric to us.
Yeah.
They were able to make it work.
I mean, when you're looking at it, especially in contrast to like, not even really in contrast, when you just like, when you compare them to other civilizations, every civilization was barbaric in some form, way or another. You look at America and its, treatment of of slaves and slavery. It's very barbaric, especially the punishment methods they use, that type of stuff. I mean, you had, George Washington's teeth, they weren't made of wood. Sometimes they were made of ivory, but mostly they were probably slaves' teeth, or he was just put in his mouth, shit like that. So like, everyone, no matter how civilized they may be on paper or how we look at it, we're very barbaric in nature. Humans are pretty barbaric creatures. It's just the kind of things that like, happen throughout our human history in every civilization. The French has stories, the British have stories, the
We're so
Belgians,
evil
the
and so beautiful,
Japanese, the Koreans.
But we also love, we probably sacrifice for our species more than a lot of other species do. We are way more empathetic than a lot of other species show.
Yeah.
I'll tell you one thing I thought was beautiful. Last night I was talking to Rieger playing the game, and he was talking about when his dad was dying, he had started gardening and like how much pride he was taking in his gardening, in those his last time, basically. I was like, man, that's cool as shit, man. It reminded me of that that lyric I was sharing the other day, it's like how even the smallest crop can make your pop the proudest man, It's like there's something to these small things in the world, man, that just make you a happy human. But at the same time, you do have this switch where you could kill a man. It's like you love the man, you could kill the man. It's a weird process, Like no matter at the end of the day, we're humans, and if it came to the aspect of me or you would fight for you, and I would fight for me, and it'd be that would be what it is. That's just
the will to live is the strongest, and each and every man,
Dude, I'll tell you, what's been kicking my ass, bro, is that thing, man, that I was talking about. And I know it sounds stupid to people, bro, but why don't animals point? I have just been having such a hard time with that, bro. I've been thinking about it so much. I'm just I just don't understand it, bro. Let me ask you this question right away. First, the flatline question. Do you think every species of animal has a way of talking to one another?
Yeah.
How do you think that language is known?
So I mean, I forgot what the thing was called, but I mean, there's some part of evolutionary theory where they talk about, if one species or one animal of that particular species knows, then the whole collective knows through some sort of collective knowledge, or whatever the case may be, as far as survival goes. And I mean, when you think of ants, I mean, ants are very organized. They communicate through chemical sense and compounds, and even chimpanzees, whether through body language or vocal expression, communicate with each other. You have packs of wildebeests, and I mean, when you think about it, it makes sense when you think about how animals evolve. Again, the ones that survive are the ones that pass on the information, and you're only doing that by doing things that are reinforced by you surviving. So you keep surviving and you keep doing these different things. They keep passing that information, and immediately finally gets tuned.
Okay.
So I think in the wildebeest pack, maybe they're not all agreeing to be together, but they know it's the safest to be together. Because that's how most of them survive, even if
So my question would be, why do you think humans are excluded from that same theory that you just said?
Well, I mean, I don't think they're excluded from that in any form. Because I mean, you think about,
I don't understand.
The will, the kind, everyone has the will to live.
But I'm not talking about none of that. I'm talking about languages.
Languages.
We have 100,000 languages on this world.
Well, I mean, we're one of the only species that can be found in every part of the world at this point. Species are very limited to certain continents and areas where they live. Whereas we're one of the only ones that are worldwide, can be found on every continent across the world.
Okay.
Every part of the
I think that's a fair point. Yeah. So, what do you think? Do you think eventually there would come a point where we all speak the same language?
It's just
because that's basically what you're saying. It's eventually, to me, I agree with what you're saying with the chemicals. I think that's a fair argument because they should always be able to smell the same scents and shit.
Yeah.
But there's an ant, in Africa, right? And there's an ant in America. I think it's kind of naive to say those ants wouldn't operate differently, even being the same species.
Oh, yeah, they do.
They grew up differently, as we would say with one another. You don't know what that. Why couldn't an ant say you don't know what that ant been through? It sounds so stupid for to say something like that, but it's true. Why don't we hold these species to the same accountability? To me, I feel like there is a barrier probably between them. I'm sure, exactly what you're saying, where there's a bond, but even with body language, I think there's a certain understanding of body language. Just somebody can say something that you think is condescending, but to them they think it's funny.
Yeah.
Right. I could do the same thing. I stick out my chest. To me, it's just I'm happy, but to you, I'm flexing. You see what I mean? So I think
Yeah.
there also has to be like this understanding of it's not just first time I meet you, we're able to communicate on this essence, right? It would be the same thing with a human, right? It's like the first time I meet you, until I know like this language barrier. Okay, do you speak English? No, right? Okay, well now we got a language barrier, right? So from there, like I picture it be the same thing with other animals. Like, okay, same thing with us. We can still figure out a lot of shit, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I'm getting with all this thought, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's like me and you would still, so you speak Chinese and I speak American, and we just met each other. We're one-on-one in the middle of the nowhere. I can still communicate so much shit to you. If you don't know one bit of English and I don't know one bit of Chinese, right?
Yeah.
I can still, is Chinese a language? Is
Yeah.
that even a language? I
Yeah.
thought it was like Mandarin or some shit.
Oh yeah, Mandarin Chinese.
Mandarin Chinese,
Yeah.
okay. So I say like, I'd take this and I'll drink it, and then like, okay, drink that, right? And then like I show you something, I would point to it, or like I'm like this, or I'm like, follow me.
Yeah.
Right? Like these are all things that I would do that like, okay, we don't gotta speak the same language. Stop, like hold up, fight, like all these things like that I could say to you. But yet you don't see those things like with an animal, right? Like trying to communicate with us in that same way. These animals aren't IQs of 10, right? I mean, they have a basic IQ of whatever it is. I mean, there's some chimps that are probably smarter than like autistic humans or something, right? Like that are nearly probably brain dead. So there has to come a point where like there is animals that are even smarter than humans.
Yeah.
Why is it that like we cannot, like there isn't just this basic understanding of, okay, you see me, I see you, we don't speak the same language, let's go from here. Like my next question, I guess, would be, do you think like all animals accept what humans are on planet Earth? Or do you think they still just play it as predator prey type of thought?
So I think it's a little bit of both, because I mean I think it just, to most animals that run away from us, we are seen as predators, and also the animals that typically don't have interactions with humans survive. Like I mean, like you think about deer are have evolved to completely avoid humans because they know I mean not that they know, but it's just like we're predators to them. And I think a lot of animals that come across humans typically end up dying. So I think the ones that pass on that information that stay away from all those types of things in humans, are the ones that kind of thrive. I think that's kind of like how it works, and it also makes sense how it works. Like
right, okay,
like it
super,
just
super
like
great.
I think that's how it kind of goes. I mean, like when you think
Right.
about humans, we're very predatory. We kill a lot of animals. We kill a lot of things. So I think a lot of animals around the world have evolved to avoid humans and be fearful of
Right.
them, except the ones that are predatory.
Right,
like
and I
lions and shit,
totally agree, right? But
Yeah.
no matter what, let's say, I don't know, like I don't know if you can even judge IQ in an animal. I don't even know how that works,
Yeah, I mean,
And
it's like when they say like if you judge a monkey's ability to swim, you judge their IQ off their ability to swim, it's
a
like
fish to climb a tree. Yeah,
exactly.
right.
It's like
No, for sure. I don't know if you can judge it, but like let's say, okay, even with a lion, some of these animals that we think basically operate on free will have, a creative process. You picture like, okay, cats, monkeys, dolphins, elephants, right? Why can't they have one of their species be the Martin Luther King, the Gandhi, or however you want to see it, right? Like, why don't they ever step out of that? Like, where it's like, okay, you have this one elephant that's like, bro, I'm going to go over to that village and I'm going to try and tell them that we need a water spot, like I'm going to try and figure it out. You get what I'm saying? Why is that impossible? That's not impossible, right? Like, am I crazy?
I mean,
am I crazy, bro?
I mean,
why?
Don't
you think it's your ego?
I feel like I don't know enough about animals.
Don't you think it's
aspect,
your ego, though? Like to say that, like they aren't capable of that. They're like, oh, every elephant operates like this. That there couldn't be an Alexander the Great of lions. That's like, bro, we need 30 of us, and we're going up in that village together and taking them fucking people out that keep coming over here and poaching us. Or like, why can't they come into like these group things or like these group decisions or like these next level steps? Like they have a mind of their own that's creative in thoughts.
What's the thing? Like, when you look at animals who follow like hierarchy structures, like you do see that type of thing of like organization, with like wolves,
Right.
Even
But not
lion prides,
communication with human,
even
right?
lion prides.
So like with any species, like even with human versus human, like if I'm beating you in a battle and you're to the point of almost dying, you would come to negotiate, right? You would try to be like, hey, okay, that's yours. You want it? We're going here. Just let my people live, right? Like you never see someone like that with animals, like any type of understanding, not any single animal, or like, a banding together of like a counter attack. They always like, okay, we're getting attacked. When you come, we'll fight you. But like you never see them like band together and go attack that village, or like multiple groups from different tribes join together or create that village or use a different type of strategy. Like it's like I don't understand why they're at that barrier, because I get to that point of like, okay, why? Okay, so that elephant goes to that village and he needs water. Well, how would you communicate other than fucking the simplest fucking thing I can think of is pointing, dude?
Well, I mean,
like you straight up are like you use that snout and you're just like.
I mean, it's like asking why different Indian tribes don't work together, especially within lion prides. Because I mean, you see communication and working together in these lion prides, but then with other prides they don't get along.
Yeah, dude, I'm talking about. First of all, I'm talking about you. That's not even comparable, dude, because you're talking about tribes that had 100,000 people, right? And they would all do the same thing if it came to attacking. You know what I mean?
But if
it was time to take
work with other tribes,
No, not to, but they could make like certain things like, okay, don't even go that far as working with another tribe, joint effort. Just think about like counterattack. Like things like that. Like, okay, they keep coming to poach that tribe. That tribe, you do that to a Native American tribe, you attack them in the middle of the night. They're going to get their people together and counterattack you or start plotting on that. Where it's like these lions will allow them to just keep getting poached, or these rhinos, instead of like, why is it impossible for them to go, hey, even if it's 6 of us, go attack first? Like, why is that crazy, dude?
I mean, I think it's just, thinking in a very like human way. Like, it's like, I'm not saying that they're not capable of doing shit like that or thinking of like that. It's just kind of like the requirements or like survival don't like, necessarily call for that, unless you talk about, animals, going up against humans. And, I think it's just extremely unfair when we have, the technological advantages we do.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so think about something simple. I'm just trying to give you examples to like try to see where I'm at, Think about something simple like whales. We look at whales super smart, right? Dude, Japan fucking poached thousands of whales, bro. Killed thousands of whales. You like to think that whales had seen that murder, right? Had noticed that friends had died. Family members are getting poached, right? One of the smartest animals we know of. Why couldn't they say, okay, bro, you know what? Fuck this. There's 5 of us. Every ship we fucking see, we're going to try and capsize.
They sink ships, bro.
They sink some. They sink some.
Yeah. Well,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I mean, like, you also...
could 30... Yeah. Dude, could 30 whales sink a shipper? Could you imagine, bro, the news video from a helicopter? It's filming that live. Fucking 50 whales, 25 on each side of this fucking naval character. A naval carrier, bro. And you're just like, and this bitch is just like, oh my God, the sight. And now everybody's just worried across the world of like what animals could do.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's like this constant Martin Luther King aspect where they're like, you know what? We kill to eat. We'll never kill to kill and conquer. I don't know.
Whales are pretty territory, and I mean, like, especially with boats nowadays. I mean, like, boats heavily interfere with like their environment and and their ability to communicate. You ever heard about oceans getting louder?
Yeah,
over time. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I mean, like, I think those types of things play a big role, especially
when they blame for beaching
communication. In communication with that, especially when they're in those environments, and also the size of these boats and the humans' ability to design boats to be anti-whale pretty much, and then able to conquer and use things to their advantage. Like, I mean, whales are extremely slow.
Could 100 whales sink a carrier?
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Those things are built to take missiles and stay afloat.
Right?
So,
yeah. Could 1,000 whales?
Probably. That's a lot of fucking whales. That's a lot of fucking
500?
whales. A lot of whales.
500 whales?
I mean, it's just so tough.
That's when you're right. You're right around that number, right? Somewhere, 750.
Yeah, exactly. 5 to 1,000 whales might be able to
where it's like, carrier. Okay, that's a lot.
But I mean, carriers are fucking huge. It's like they're huge, and I mean, and then they have different layers of hulls. So they can have a hull bloat in them, and then they won't sink still because they have another hull. It's like,
the thing is, if let's say 1,000 whales, that'd be hard to deny. But let's say 100 whales did attack a carrier in the middle of the ocean, bro. The Navy would never report that shit.
Yeah, they just kill them.
Because people would, they're just killing. People would never take that shit. Like, what? That would be insane, right? Like, why is
kill
it? You
1,000
see,
whales.
like, think about how insane that
There's
is, right? Like,
6,000 whales.
yeah, you know,
It's like-
just say you see like 600 whales try to, attack a naval carrier this morning in the Indian Sea or something.
That's
It's like,
right. I text you like, "There's your Martin Luther King, man."
dude,
There's
you know what I mean?
your
Like,
Malcolm X whale
so
right
I mean,
there.
well, so let's just, so I guess we could wrap up the thought on why do you think it's why don't you think they do that?
I think it comes down to a lot of like, the requirements for survival in natural settings. I mean, like, humans win in a lot of artificial aspects, whereas when it comes to natural, in a natural sense, with lions, I mean, lion pride can survive, in the Serengeti forever and not have to worry about, encroaching attacks from like, other prides or, a lot of times, it's like they kill to survive and eat and then they'll defend themselves. And, I mean, I'm sure prides fight all the time, but like only unless they happen to come across their territory. I don't think anything's for invasive purposes, and then from, the requirements for survival are just different, you're just operating around this land, you're all eating, chilling, I mean, lions, when they're not eating, they're pretty much sleeping and chilling around the rest of the day, drinking water. I mean, it's, having sex. That's what they do. I think the requirements for survival are just different. And it really all depends on those requirements for survival. Whereas like humans, it became better for them to band together when we, early on, monkeys stick together, they stick to the treetops because, they can swing from trees a lot faster than they can run. It's like that type of deal. Your requirements survival all depends what your requirements for survival is. Ants, I think ants do that shit. Ants will go attack people. There's army ants. There's fighter ants. They'll go and attack a nest, for militaristic reasons to take it over, food sources, whatever. So I mean, there is those types of aspects. But I mean, like as far as like just like okay, these 4 colonies of ants come together to go take out a hornet's nest. I just don't think so. The requirement for survival isn't there, for them to do shit like that. It is. They're working on surviving. That's their focus, their primary focus. And when they survive.
I agree.
They're able to do that.
But then, okay, so you have humans poaching you to the point of death. Your survival should be you would start doing counterattacks, right? You would stop them from poaching you to the last rhino.
Well, with that in mind, I mean, like there's other aspects, like dehabitation, where their habitats are lately being destroyed. And then you're getting to a point where like a lot of animals on Earth are, relatively endangered, or at least the ones that could pose a big threat. Lions endangered, tigers endangered,
right?
Any type of big cat endangered,
So why
some of the biggest threats to humans,
Man, they're smart enough to do it. Why don't they launch a counterattack?
Well, that's the thing.
1,000 cats attack New York City. LA. Whoa.
Yeah.
Man. That'd be so crazy.
Yeah.
That would be so crazy, dude.
But I think at the end of the day,
Jumanji
they'll
style.
kill a bunch of people, but they'll lose at the end of the day, And they'll lose.
It's too late.
That's what most animals weigh when they survive.
We just won that war when we were the first ones to get, shit going, man.
There was a mountain cat, and he was stalking a human. And pretty much the whole time they're doing that, they're deciding if it's worth the energy to try and take you down and kill you and eat you, or is it worth it to go after something a little smaller for some like guaranteed food. So that's the idea, and that's how the brains operate. It seems like so. I don't know, until you can read animals' minds, I don't think you ever really understand. And the only thing we can do is apply our thoughts to what animals do without actually ever having to.
But like, we don't want to kill every animal. Like, there's a lot of animals we don't kill necessarily. It's not like we see them and we kill them all the time. Like in the city, like you see deer all the time that people just let go. Like, why couldn't there be a point?
There's lots of laws reinforcing that.
Just one fucking deer, bro.
And I mean, like, I talk to people all the time. They'll just be like, yeah, I wish I could clock that deer that showed up my front lawn. That's an easy kill for me. That's meat in the fridge for 3 months or so.
Foxes, skunks, raccoons,
Well, I mean,
beavers.
A lot of people look at it as not even food anymore. They want pork and beef.
I'm just saying, but we don't kill them though. We don't kill them on sight.
But we did.
Why don't they?
But we did, bro. We did, bro. When we're expanding out west, man, badger stew, all that type of shit. That was a real fucking thing. Hunting all these animals, bro. When you were back then, you didn't have a grocery store. You kill and eat whatever you got your hands on.
Just think about like a zoo, right? They're all in captivity. So let's just say one animal happened to escape. There's not a single animal that escapes from a zoo and becomes Harriet Tubman.
No.
Not a single one.
Yeah.
What is that?
Where's the tiger gonna hide? Someone's gonna spot that tiger. We're everywhere.
So a tiger
Humans are
can't. A
everywhere.
tiger can't hide, but Harriet
In
Tubman
Baltimore
could.
City, in Baltimore City.
But Harriet Tubman could.
But Harriet Tubman wouldn't be. Would it maybe actually be easier probably for her to hide nowadays? You know, I mean, you know, but a tiger, bro, it's not good. This is not their environment.
It
bro,
escapes.
You know?
It kills the first person.
Yeah.
And unlocks the gate for the tigers. Like instead,
I mean,
it's like, where do I go? Like, I mean, at some point, I don't care if it's in 100 years. Just please, just make like a fucking species decision. And fire back against humans. Because I hate it, dude. I hate it. I just wish they all would band together and just be like, bro, you're not taking one more acre of this rainforest. You know what, bitch?
That's why when I see like
that's one of the best scenes of Avatar, bro. Have you seen Avatar?
But I haven't seen that since that movie came out like 2008.
Did you see it though?
Yeah, I did see it, bro. When it came out.
Yeah, well, I mean, one of the best scenes is like when they keep taking over.
I saw that bitch in IMAX.
That's awesome, ain't it?
Yeah.
It's like it's like loosely based on like what happened to natives, you know, and what happens to animals. Period. Of like they keep coming in, but they're so barbaric that when they attack, like you know, they're shooting bows at this big ass fucking Tomco or whatever it is, you know, truck, and it just does nothing. But at least they're mutually agreeing that hey, this motherfucker keeps coming. We should start shooting back. Like they're not doing nothing, but they're all mutually agreeing to do it. Where like when that shit happens in the rainforest, they just scatter, or one might attack or something. You know, like, dude, get something going, bro. Get an agreement going.
That's why I think the movie The Planet of the Apes is a really fun.
I love it.
You know, where it's like, you know, I mean,
bro,
all the
love
animals
the
I think are capable would be, you know, all the different types of apes coming together. You know, and just being like, you know, just like what they say in like, you know, on the Wall Street Bets, it's like ape strong together. You know, you know, just like you get all these apes together, man. You know, this is like I think you'd be ready to go.
Gorillas,
you know?
dude.
Exactly, man. Exactly. Them bitches just charging. You know,
that's the thing though, because if you attack like in the cities, like say if animals did attack in the cities, there's a lot of weapons you can't use, right? Like you definitely can't nuke them. You can't use a lot of missiles on them. It's not like they got camps.
I think
they're go for days. They're raid for days.
You just see chopper gunners all day, bro. Just like, you know.
What if they go in the homes? You know,
they start taking
when they're like as smart as Planet of the Apes. Like
you gotta get foot soldiers out there. You know, you gotta get foot soldiers on the ground. You know, to clear those.
You know, the gorilla dude that starts picking up guns
in close quarters. You know, like you just clear a hallway and just like. It just smacks your shit, starts firing rounds down the hallway at you.
Yeah, like what guns are you gonna use? Like what gun do you send out to your troops?
They can eat bullets, man. They can definitely eat the bullets.
That's what I'm saying. Like, what
start developing gorilla body armor.
There's 100,000 gorillas attacking New York City. Like what you're sending your troops out. What gun do you equip them with?
You need hollow points. You need hollow tips.
Like
and
what? Like an 8K?
Okay. I mean, yeah.
An assault rifle?
You definitely need an assault rifle, the high-powered rifle or some shit, you know what I'm saying?
Like SMG's too small. LMG's weighs too much.
You need 50 caliber machine guns.
You need explosives.
I need up in these perch positions. I need 50 cal machine gun nests.
I don't even trust the 50 cal to be honest with you, dude.
M302 grenade launchers.
An adrenaline dumping a gorilla in wartime with a mind?
With the same weapons you got.
Even if they weren't using the weapons, like I think I want explosives, you know? Like I want a grenade. I want a Semtex. I can stick a gorilla.
This is the thing.
I can
a monkey,
a gorilla.
Bro, a monkey could literally hang upside down on something and then fire like with his fucking feet.
Yeah, monkey could
hold
get
his feet
wild.
And be like, yeah, just fucking doing some crazy shit, bro.
Monkey could get wild.
They literally swing through shit like nothing. They're such good climbers, bro.
But they're not
so deadly.
Trained at the end of the day. They wouldn't know how to reload a gun. That would take time.
We're talking in a plant like of the apes.
They would learn to reload. Structure,
you know. They'd be able to hang from something and reload with their feet and shit. Like, come on.
60 clips in their tail.
Get some crazy. They'd be firing while throwing a grenade with their feet, you know, just like, you know, just like.
I'm just picturing like I would just wreck gorillas. Now I'm picturing a dog would wreck gorillas with Semtex, dude. Like they have the charge straight pretty much, you know. It's just like Semtex right behind a wall and hide, you know.
I'm just saying, like
they are fast, but Semtex.
Like you use gorillas in like close quarters combat, bro.
You Semtex them, but it's just closing on you.
You send your gorillas in first to clear houses, bro. And you follow it up with some fucking monkey paratroopers that climb from the roofs in, from the top down, and it's I think you're done. You know, like I said, that you give a fucking gorilla a shotgun in close quarters with some body armor. It's just like, it's just like come on, They're like, come on, man, let's go blow through some drywall wall. Just
Yeah, right. You're right. Just go through a wall.
Yeah, man. The way these houses.
How much stronger do you think a gorilla is than a human?
Oh man, I mean they weigh like 600 pounds, bro. Yeah, they're big.
That doesn't mean nothing.
They're big. I think
Yeah,
their
they're
relative
off.
strength is pretty high. I think they might be at least twice as strong as a human.
They're definitely twice as strong as.
That's what I'm saying. You know, they're easily twice as strong.
I wouldn't put that past it.
But you want to talk about like 3 or 4 times? That just sounds insane, though.
Think so?
That sounds crazy.
I don't think so at all.
3 or 4
I'm thinking
times.
like my weak ass. I'm thinking like, man, I could probably lift my body weight.
I think of like what humans can
and then I'm
do
thinking
in
about
general,
like
you know?
a 1-year-old gorilla could probably lift 5 times my body weight.
Not probably. Yeah, probably a good idea. But I think about in proportion to what its body weight is when it can lift, you know? Like is it gonna lift? Is it gonna lift?
Why would you say that?
Is
It's
it gonna
not true
lift
at all
like
with
2,000
humans.
pounds? You know?
Yeah, a squat. Like, what could a gorilla squat? 5,000 pounds, maybe. I don't know. What adrenaline? I mean, he's like a gorilla was going for gold in Rio. You know what I mean? Like, dude, he's maxing.
Oh god, I don't know, man. You know,
Their knees can handle so much more.
Trying to think, like, you know, in proportion of body weight, you know, say they're 600 pounds. You know, can he lift 3 times? That seems crazy, you know. Can he lift?
We
3
never
times?
had a gorilla on a squat
Can he
rack.
lift 3,000 pounds? I'm just saying, can he lift 3,000 pounds?
We never had a
What's
gorilla
its relative strength index? What
It
is
could-
it?
I don't know.
What's the
At least
RSI?
4
Yeah.
times. I'm saying at least 4 times. 2,400 pounds, I'll say it lift.
That's just so crazy.
Without
bro.
training.
It could lift a small car, man.
Oh, for sure. I mean, there's humans that lift up cars.
No,
Because of the great gorilla weight and muscular bodies, gorillas are considered to be 4 to 9 times stronger than an average human. So what's the biggest bench press a human ever did?
It's so
Like 1,000
That's
pounds?
his average human. So I'll say an average human could probably bench like 150. So you 9 times that.
No,
No.
that's unfair though, because you're talking about like
What's that?
pussy
What can an
humans,
average
bro.
human do
You're talking
though?
about weakened.
What's the average human doing, bro?
fluoride.
Well, give me your
chemical-
number then. What's the average human doing? Because I don't think the average human is doing 220.
But you shouldn't say like you're thinking of the average person, right? And you should actually think of like the average human body. Like what should the average human body? Let's say my weight. Let's say on average I would probably be a little bit heavy. Let's say I'm 6'1", 170. On average, what should I be able to do without me being I am or in this world at all? Like that person should at least be able to lift a little surplus extra than his body weight if he were just living amongst nature, working every day to hunt and prey.
Yeah, but then you 9 times that.
I'm saying
you know?
200, right?
So then
200
times that by
the average
9.
human.
So 2 times that by 9 then. At the its highest end, that's not that much.
But we don't know what the average is for a
Well,
gorilla,
actually, 1,800
right?
pounds would be pretty cool. You know, that'd be pretty badass. 200 pounds times that by 1,800 pounds would be
But we're
pretty,
also
pretty
talking about,
badass.
I guess we are looking for maxes here, though, right? So it's like I don't even think you could fairly do. Let's say if the highest human bench press ever is 1,000 pounds, I don't think you can say at 9,000 pounds. I think you got to say we don't know who the greatest great gorilla ever is. You know what I mean? Because he might be Arnold Schwarzenegger, bro. And at that point, maybe he gets that 11 to 12 extra. You know, he's lifting that. 2,000 bench press.
It's so crazy, bro.
There's not steel that can handle that, bro. You know what I mean?
It's a fucking gorilla charging.
That's so crazy.
That's ridiculous to even think about, bro. Well, you better look up a gorilla charging.
No, there was I want to show you this thing. What the fuck? I don't like that. Uh-oh.
I think we should be all right. I mean, we're still going, so
I don't like that.
yeah, that's definitely not a good sign. Because you're on the same
Well-
Wi-Fi, right?
Yeah. we got 2 different Wi-Fi's going with
You mean you don't got a dedicated Wi-Fi for the podcast?
a VPN.
How seriously are you taking this? How seriously are you taking this?
$199 a month VPN. Dude, I couldn't afford the VPN. I'm trying to get a Bloomberg terminal.
Did you pre-order Starlink for 900?
No, but I'm trying to save up my money for a interstellar trip from Blue Origin.
That one billionaire, bro, that Japanese billionaire, he's auctioning off some of his seats to go with him on the first trip.
I don't think you can do that.
Why can't he?
I don't
Someone
think-
sold him to him to begin
It's like
with.
the Wu-Tang Clan album.
Is that illegal to auction off? Because Skrelly bought it.
Yeah, but he wasn't supposed to let anybody hear it. You know that?
Did he let people hear it? He live streamed it, didn't he?
He didn't live stream it. He played it in the back while he was talking on one of his live streams. Yeah,
Wild,
bro. You know him and Ghostface got in that big ass. He was already American
Yeah,
Greed on him.
yeah.
He fucked up so many times, bro. He went
Yeah.
bankrupt a hell of times. Well, I think he was supposed to go bankrupt, but he just would start a new company, a new hedge fund, get a bunch of money, keep lying to people, you know. So eventually he bought that drug and marked it up. The only reason he marked it up that much was because he was in so much debt. Basically, he had to mark it up so much to even
Try to make some money. Exactly, start making some money. Because he bought a drug that was relatively like it was just kind of like. I wouldn't say it was like a cash cow, but it was sold at a price that was just like, you know, just bringing steady revenue. So once he shot that through the fucking roof, that's the worst thing he did was let the news get on hold of him, because he might not have gone to jail unless the news, the news really started villainizing him and whatnot.
Well, he actually never went to jail for any of those things he did. It was for what he was saying on Twitter that he went to jail for.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, bro. He started like threatening people. He called up people and left voicemails.
He said, I remember he sent some shit to Ghostface. I remember that a couple of times. I remember he had
oh yeah, him and Ghostface was.
He had a video where he was just like, yeah, I got shooters too or some shit. He had like goons with him. And it was just so funny, man. It's like,
yeah,
who is this guy? It's like,
but like when he got proven innocent on the first thing, he told the prosecutors "fuck you" when he was walking out, like shit like that. He said shit about like the case he wasn't supposed to say. Like he did like some laws like that.
It seems relatively stupid.
Yeah,
but I mean, he seems like a guy who really doesn't know when to shut up or when to stop. So I mean, it just seems like. As I'm saying, he knew what he was doing. He was just gonna do it regardless. He was always
crazy that somehow though he's seen like the pinnacles of success. You know, like you could be that person and you could see a Las Vegas penthouse for a weekend. You know, if you want to be that type of guy and just lie and cheat and steal. You know.
Yeah, but those things aren't necessarily rewards, and they're built upon evil too. So it's just evil visiting evil.
Like on that thing, I was listening with Bezos, how he was talking about like, dude, he had his people working around the clock, you know, all day long, 12-hour shift of answering calls. You get off that, you start packaging books, you start packaging things, sending them out, no days off. People going a year without a day off, bro, you know, sleeping in their cars, not eating, you know, all types of shit, bro. And like, they said like he was never like that guy to come out like, you know, thank you guys, you know, you guys are doing great. Like he would come out and do like, I'm going to give a prize to whoever could package the most orders in the next 2 hours, you know, shit like that. Like, that's the type of guy he was. And like, you know, using, you know, as they describe it, you know, throwing around stupid, calling people stupid, you know, yelling at people, you know, things like that, you know. That's like not to say that he wasn't working hard too, but like, you can just tell, like, dude was a dick, bro. Not spending no time, you know, with family.
Like a no prisoners mentality, just like fuck everybody. You know, it's all about Amazon.
Yeah.
It's just what Amazon
is. Do it all. We're going to take everybody. And, you know, they had gained so much money that they could pretty much just outlast losses on anything. That's what he did. Very discount. Yeah. And it's wild because I didn't know this, but he had lowered prices so much at one point that companies had to step in and would be like, bro, we're not going to sell to you no more if you keep selling these for lower because you're devaluing our like universal value of that shoe. So instead, he had to leave it at a regular price. And then he would do things like if you paid $5, you got $5 credit. Like they were basically paying people to use their site to buy shoes instead of this one website called Zapper. I don't know if you've ever heard of that, but it was like the biggest shoe company, and they sold Zappos, right? So he would just keep going. Like he was like 2 days shipping, and then they had to do 2 shipping. He's like 1 day shipping, they do 1 day shipping. And then he's like, you know, same day shipping, you know. And it's like, and at this point, they're selling like crazy, but it's putting a squeeze on like what they can do.
Pressure on top.
And meanwhile, he's setting up to be able to do that, stealing those Walmart guys I was telling you about, man, you know. Yeah. So it's like he was just willing to do. He did that to all types of companies, you know.
Yep. Sorry, with the bookstores. That's where guys launch at.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was like, he did that. I mean, that was just, if anything, he did, you know, the right way. It was the bookstore thing. Like, he really didn't do nothing wrong with the bookstore. He had an idea for, you know, selling books online. At the end of the day, he beat the, you know, Barnes and Nobles to it, who was the biggest, you know, they was doing $2 billion a year in book sales.
Barnes and Nobles is so popular.
Wow, bro. They had no site though.
That's why
he just beat them there.
It's actually kind of sad to see the one downtown go because I mean, like that place was cool, bro.
Yeah,
it's nice going to a place where there's like all these books, you know.
Yeah, that was cool. Like great library.
Yeah, exactly, man.
But they sell them to you.
They were in a
Shits.
cool ass. They were in a cool ass building.
But
Space.
I
That's
mean,
how,
but
it shows how
look,
good they were
how many
doing.
times have we talked about like you have to innovate?
Yep.
So meanwhile, like as soon as they do that, like Barnes and Noble tries to buy Amazon. Yeah, I don't even know if we're going or what, but
Yeah, it's okay. We're good.
he tries to buy Amazon. Amazon's like, nah, you know.
Yeah,
Bezos is like, we're not doing that at all. He's got a good site. Eventually, Barnes and Noble throws their own site. It's super slow. It takes forever, you know.
Shit, yeah.
He's just smoking them basically, and like he just beats them to the punch. He really didn't. But at that point, he wasn't really doing shady shit to like bookstores in the neighborhood or no things like that. He was just straight beating them with his idea. Like I don't think nothing's wrong with that part. It's when you get to the point where you're like, okay, since I can't buy you, I'm gonna crush you.
Yeah,
I don't like that. You know, I just don't. I like to be like, look, there can come a point where you go, look, dude, I'm doing better. If you want to make an agreement, I'll take 80%. You can take 20%. Like that's what I think Comcast and Verizon did. I really do. Like with their internet, I think that like Verizon was like, look, Comcast, you already got it. You know, you already had covered so much, but we are doing this. We do one of those things. So what works for you? And Comcast probably looked at spots like that were not as profitable for them. Like, okay, we're going to take this and you can do over here. But then at a day, Comcast probably took 80% and let Verizon do 20% of that. And that's what it's going to always be. But Verizon still makes, I don't know, 2.3 billion off of their internet, something like that.
Yeah, because
it just is what it is. And Comcast is like, we were never going to go to those areas anyway. You know, it made it easier to not even go there. So that's how I see it. I'm sure there's a lot of agreements like that in business.
Well, that's the thing with Comcast, you know, since it's all over all over telephone wires. Most houses have access to Comcast anyway. So I mean, like with Verizon, you got to bury those fiber optic lines. You got to run those Fios cables.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you got to run those We got to run those little fiber optic cables to go get hooked up to that internet. Whereas, you know, most people already had a landline telephone before, so they just send their internet over that infrastructure already in place. You know, that's how it gets down. It's just, I mean, each company gets like a certain allotment depending on who builds it and who has the most funding into it. Like with cell phone towers, like depending on where you're at, you know, like if you're a T-Mobile provider or if you're a AT&T provider, you know, if you're in certain areas, sometimes you'll have first dibs on the tower hits before an AT&T phone. Just like when you go out Western Maryland, a lot of phones don't work, but like they have a local telephone company that a lot of people use. And that gets priority, and then you know other companies come in and will pay for the different priority from there. Whereas like T-Mobile, like in the Western Maryland, T-Mobile was like fourth. Which is why I don't get shit out there.
Well, right, but at any day, the bigger company could just crush them in that sector, right? Like, don't you think if they wanted to, they could just squeeze them out? But you're not allowed to do like monopolies and shit, so you have to give like You know, but like, why
you might just invest in the company itself, and you'll be
isn't BG&E a monopoly?
I'm not sure how that fucking works, bro.
You know what I mean? Like, nobody knows.
Is it a private company?
Is it a government company?
They
get every government subsidy. They get every government contract. They can do everything they want. I don't even know. The only thing I ever heard of was like Constellation Energy. I don't even know if they're like
I'd be
what that is.
I'd be sitting there. I'm just like, okay, hold up. Okay, we've had like 3 gas explosions this past year in 2020. Now, what the fuck are they doing?
Yeah.
What the fuck are they doing?
Like, once you have a monopoly like that, can't they just say, bro, it's $1,000 for electricity now, or, you know, cut your shit off tomorrow? You know, like, why are they allowing that? It seems weird. That's just one that we all just kind of glance over.
Because you want your gas. You want your electric, you know?
But I want a better deal. I mean, if there was one, why isn't there a selection?
Yeah, but you're sitting there and you're just like, well, if I'm getting my electricity, I mean, I may not look like you get paid for, but
the government's just like, bro,
well, this is out there.
Somebody did it.
Well, this is out there. I can buy bulk energy.
Who owns BG&E?
And buy bulk energy for someone. I mean, you can go and get your energy from a different company anytime, I believe.
Who?
You know, that's the thing. I don't know. You know, it's just like if you don't get Comcast in the city, who do you get internet from?
You don't.
Exactly.
Exactly. You gotta get satellite or some shit.
So our monopoly is illegal.
That's not. I don't. Oh man, I gotta get out of here, brother. I'm on a tight contract today. Thank you for coming over for a little quickie. Quickie.
Nice little Saturday one, bro.
Thank anybody for checking us out. We'll be back soon. Love you all. Sorry to cut it so short on you. Be safe. Have a great Saturday.
Like, share, subscribe. We appreciate it. Thank you so much.